It remains the USA's most popular sport, and nowhere are people more passionate about American football than in the state of Texas.
God bless Texas, baby. Welcome.
In this part of the world, gridiron is routinely described as a religion. Yet, even though Texans love their professional and college teams, for many in the Lone Star State, the football team that's closest to their hearts is the one that plays under the famed Friday night lights. For those who live in the remote, sparsely populated towns scattered across this vast state, high school football is king, even when it's played by teams consisting of just 6 players, in a variation of the game known as six-man football.
Six-man is a huge deal for small towns everywhere in Texas.
It's the biggest thing in this town. We love it and have a lot of fun following our ball.
What's so exciting is the scoring is outrageous. People like the fast game and fast scoring, and six-man, you miss a tackle, it's 6 points.
And six-man football happens to be one of the things that I believe is keeping a lot of these towns alive.
Richland Springs is typical of the small rural towns in Texas where six-man football is played. This remote settlement is situated in the heart of the state, 120 miles northwest of Austin. In the 1920s, there were as many as 40 businesses here, supporting a population of around 500. However, the Great Depression adversely affected that prosperity, and a drought in the 1950s crippled the local economy once again. Over the years, in scenes played out across countless Texan towns once made vital by oil, cattle and cotton, an increasing number of people have headed for the cities.
Richland Springs used to have 2 movie theaters, 2 hotels. That was back in the 50s. And that's when everyone could make a living growing cotton on 40 acres. Everyone had 5 kids and 40 acres, and they can make a living. And then cotton went bust, and there was no way for these families to provide a living for themselves, so they had to move on to other areas. So Richland Springs really doesn't have that big cash crop anymore.
Don Fowler is the principal of Richland Springs High School, which today is the biggest employer in town. A natural consequence of families moving to the cities has been that enrollments at rural schools such as his have fallen. For the schools that remain, the dwindling number of students has left many unable to safely sustain a competitive 11-man football team. So, in order to keep the tradition of high school football alive, an increasing number of schools in recent years have switched to 6-man. There are over 200 schools in Texas playing the game. Richland Springs made the decision to scale down in 1978.
Football on Friday nights is entertainment. If you want to drive to go see a movie, you have to drive 70 miles round trip. So this is the place where the community gathers on Friday nights, and of course we also travel to all the other towns, and when we have a big game out of town, there's no one left in town. We kind of joke and say we roll the sidewalks up behind us. So it is important, and it's fun.
In Texas, 6-man football is only played by high schools with fewer than 100 students. When the Richland Springs Coyotes began playing 6-man, they had little success and were seen as merely plucky underdogs. However, all that was to change. By 2008, the Coyotes had become one of the best six-man teams in Texas. They'd been crowned state champions 3 times in the previous 5 years.
Stay there. Turn your hands over, Bruce.
Jerry Burkett was in charge here during that period. Prior to that, he'd coached 11-man at a high school near Dallas.
Go ahead and go hard.
Well, I would say the main difference is you take away the lineman out of 11-man and you got 6-man football. You know, everybody's eligible to catch a pass in 6-man football. The center can catch a pass, and you know, it's really the same techniques. The philosophy's the same. We teach the same fundamentals. It's blocking, tackling, you know, trying to execute on offense, and then on the defensive side of the ball, we want to be very physical. We want to hit you hard, and you know, we want to make plays, and there's really not a lot of difference in the game. It's just the rules of the game are a lot different.
6-man relies on speed and agility rather than size and strength. It's played on a field 80 yards long, and it takes 15 yards to get a first down. Another difference from 11-man is that the person to whom the ball is snapped cannot run past the line of scrimmage. Instead, they have to pass to a teammate who will then make the play.
My role is it's called a spread back. It's a quarterback and a running back put into one position, and I will run, throw, and pretty much just kind of look at the defense and see what we're running and call plays.
6-man games are generally high scoring, often by just one team. But to prevent things from becoming too lopsided, a match is ended when a team gains a lead of 45 points or more by half-time or during the 3rd or 4th quarters. It's known as the mercy rule. In Texas, the boys on the local high school team are stars of their community. And it seems that the smaller the town, the more passionate the fans are towards their team.
To have everybody come up to you after a game and say, "Good job, Andrew, good job, Andrew." And you know, it's just people that I know from the community, and just have them just come up and just say that to me. It's definitely a uniting experience playing 6-man football in a small town like this.
If they go win,
On the day the Transworld Sport was in town, Richland Springs were up against one of their fiercest rivals, the Gordon Longhorns. The challenge was even greater when, on the eve of the match, 2 Richland players were hit with a stomach virus. But in the inner sanctum of the Coyotes locker room, the mood was relaxed as Coach Burkett gave his final instructions.
you play with your hearts tonight. They're more nervous than we are. They're playing the Richland Springs Coyotes. They're playing the toughest team in the state tonight.
In our house.
At our house.
Gordon were also one of the top teams in Texas, and they twice won the state championship in the 1990s. The teams proved evenly matched in the first quarter, with whoever was in possession taking the opportunity to get points on the board. However, in the second quarter, something very unusual happened. Richland began to panic and conceded 20 points without reply. And when Coach Burkett had to withdraw one of his own players for answering him back during a timeout, it looked like the Coyotes would suffer an incredibly rare home defeat. At half-time, Richland found themselves trailing by 34 points to 22. But in the second half, Richland finally got it together. Burkett reintroduced the chastised Abraham Ahumada, and the Coyotes showed their fighting spirit. Richland racked up 32 points in succession. The coach's son, Hostin, rushed for 4 touchdowns and passed for another 3. To the delight of the locals, the Coyotes regained the lead in the fourth quarter. In their closest game for years, Richland Springs went on to win by 60 points to 50. Having managed to defeat a tough opponent, and despite certain members of the team being struck by illness, the Coyotes preserved their enviable home record.
That's the way to coach, baby. Good job. I told you guys, you never quit. That's why I love coaching you so much. We had some adversity, and we overcame it, didn't we? Yes. Put your helmets on, shake their hands, guys.
In Texas, the big cities and the suburbs barely follow six-man. Many outstanding feats on the smaller gridiron stage garner little attention outside of the agricultural communities where they happen. Yet, for tiny towns like Richland Springs, six-man football remains a vital force.
Let's do it. This is our home field, baby. We cannot be beat here.